Welcome, everybody. My name is Maralee Burnett. I am your astrologer, back again with the messages for the week of December 22nd, which of course means here in the U.S. it is Christmas time. This is the last few days that we can get all of our shopping done, but we can't forget the astrology, right? We got to make sure that we're buying things at the right time so that your presents are enjoyed all that much more. I just a little bit, but of course you do want to be prepared for this week ahead. We want to look at any travel concerns. We want to look at any potentials for arguments. Of course, none of you would do that, but people may come at you and you want to be prepared for that too. So we're just off of a pretty wild new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. However that has showed up for you, keep in mind, we're still in the energy, right? We have to go that full 2 weeks from the new moon to the next full moon before we really understand the new opportunity. And of course, this was a strange one. It was difficult. There was a lot of change needed for those specifically in those late degrees of Pisces and Sagittarius. And now we're starting to feel into what the change is about. Of course, you know that if you have been following me. If not, now would be a great time to click on that subscribe button to make sure that you're in tune with the energy that is showing up for you to work with in the year ahead. And speaking of the year ahead, now's a good time to book your Outlook for 2026 session with me, where we'll do a deep dive into all the energies. I have a worksheet I have prepared that you'll get to keep. Of course, it can be recorded and you can refer back to it, but I'll give you all the important dates in the year ahead that you want to be paying attention to and be prepared to, again, work with that energy. Also, you may have a few days left and scrambling for gift ideas. I do have gift cards that you can purchase, and I can send out a gift certificate if you want to do that instead. Otherwise, you'll get a gift card with a number that can be redeemed for a session. And those are all available on my website. So if you go out to maraleeburnett.com, of course, the links are down below, then you can sign up to be a part of my small and mighty group. You can get access to all of my free content and all of my written content. So right now you can go out and look at January's content already and check out what's coming. Get to see what is ahead for you in this one year, and also get a look at the first full moon and new moon of the new year as well. So all of that is out there for your reading pleasure on my website. And of course, there's where you can book a session with me as well. So with that, this should be fairly quick and easy. We don't have a new moon or full moon to talk about. We do have some changes with Venus leaving the sign of Sagittarius, moving into the sign of Capricorn, but everything else is pretty much steady as she goes. Now, on Monday, December 22nd, one of the things that we have been dealing with is this square between Chiron and Jupiter. Chiron, of course, is the warrior energy in the sign of Aries. Chiron was a trainer of the gods. And so there's a lot of fight here. And when you add fight with wounds, this is difficult clashes between individuals and feelings, which is Cancer, between women and men, right? We're talking about masculine and feminine energy when we talk about Aries and Cancer. And so this is a continuing storyline of conflict that is there beneath the surface, and then it rears its ugly head as they get closer in the conflicts again. And so we have been experiencing that since the new moon. So whatever that storyline is, like I said, it's still unfolding. This conflict still exists between Jupiter and Chiron. And there is something about that that you need to deal with before you can move on. And just as a preview into 2026, the square isn't going to be done. And so there's still something about our values, our ideals, that next year, as Jupiter moves into the sign of Leo and Chiron will move into the sign of Taurus, that the conflict shifts, but it's still there. It's still us trying to understand what matters and what we're willing to fight for and how to take higher ground in these conflicts that will shift, as I mentioned, between the Aries energy into Taurus, which is money and beauty and love and resources. And then that Leo energy, can be about leadership. It can be about a particular leader or leaders that are in conflict over resources. So just don't want to go too far down that path, but I will have my article out, which I keep trying to post it, and I just keep wanting to go more in depth. So it's out there for you guys to read. And then in the new year, I'll do a video to cover all of the details because, as usual, there's so much changing. But just saying, pay attention to these weeks in particular, because it is a conflict that we need to understand how to manage. And when that conflict's change next year slightly, but there's still this conflict, we'll need to be able to shift and adapt with it as well. And there's this major reset. So the summer looks pretty intriguing for many reasons. But again, I won't go too far into it. But know that this is still going on today. We also still have today this Uranus in Taurus energy, which once again was a very active part of the new moon in Sagittarius. And now we have Venus activating that new moon point again. And so activating this odd connection, unexpected event that is happening so that, again, we can break free of unhealthy ways of thinking, ways of being, ways of believing. So we need to be very careful on Monday because this is the same energy that brought us the attacks against several different Jewish people and events. So just be very careful on Monday. If you're out in public places, stay aware of your surroundings and just, like I said, be extra careful. This would make me think of women in particular being under fire in some way. So just, like I said, just be careful on Monday because the energy is still very volatile. Speaking of that Venus energy, let's pop ahead to Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we're going to see, as I mentioned, Venus is still floating around that new moon energy degrees. And now the planet is squaring with Neptune. And so this is where, again, people can get lost in their delusions. People who have mental health issues can lash out. As I mentioned, they can be lashing out against women. But it's also a really good time for you to work on any areas in your life where you are deluding yourself, where you need to be breaking free. Because now that Neptune is moving forward, it's come off of that 22 point where it was sitting and spinning for several days after it ended its retrograde. But now Neptune is officially moving forward, albeit very slowly, and it will take until January before it gets completely out of the sign of Pisces. But this is the last bit of work that we need to do. And when it's intense on your mental health, which is what Pisces rules, the subconscious mind, the end of things. So this is the end of things abruptly and intensely. But out of these endings is the new things that come in and fill us with hope. And so there is something that needs to change today. This is a final bit of this work from the new moon that we need to let go of. We need to shift. We need to show up and do the work and let this go. But again, it's still very volatile when all the energy we have is in square, it's conflicting, it's intense, it's testing us. Pass the test by doing the work and making the changes. And especially if you have late degree energy in the sign of Sagittarius, in the sign of Pisces, you're under the most pressure to make changes. You may be under the most pressure for people to, feel like they're going to attack you in some way. So give yourself mental health and well-being. Take time out. Listen to any of my hypnosis sessions out there. They're all very calming. So whatever you're struggling with, there's probably something out there for you. And if there isn't, tell me what it is and I'll make one for you. And I will, of course, put it out there on my challenge. I will put it out there on my channel. All right. So again, we're just being very careful, very cautious on Tuesday. If you're traveling on Tuesday, again, just be very careful. Take time. Give yourself extra time. All of those things will help you to navigate. And if you are near water, live near water. I know here up in the Northwest, they've been drowning literally in water. It's not safe. Do not go near the water. Do not drive through the water. Wherever you're at, just be careful around the water. And that means you people in foreign countries, you're not safe in the open water. Stay out of it. Just stay out of the water, especially on Tuesday. All right. Let us move ahead to Wednesday, which is Christmas Eve. And so a Merry Christmas Eve to all those who celebrate. And the good news is today, Venus at least gets out of that intense Sagittarius 29th degree and moves into the sign of Capricorn. So now we have Venus here, we have the sun, of course, and we've had Mars here for 10 days or so. And now this is where things start to feel a little bit more stable. There's still this square back to Neptune, but it's starting to lessen in intensity because, of course, Venus moves pretty quickly. But still, know that you may be sucked into conflicts, so don't take the bait. That's my kindest advice for you. The other thing we see in more conflicting energy, because of course the red energy is much bolder than any other energy we have in the chart, which is those faint blue lines. As the moon moves through the sign of Aquarius, it's of course going to have a difficult conversation with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Now, of course, this is brief, but it can be unsettling. It can be shocking. It can be, groups of people that are coming together to protest something. It could be some kind of a vigil that is being held today. Of course, we have midnight masses, lots of celebrations for the birth of Christ. Whatever it is that triggers you or bothers you about religion, let it go. Let it go. Let people be who they are if they're not intruding on your space, whether it's politics, religion. Just don't bring it to the family holiday. It won't go well. Let it go. That's my best advice for you on Christmas Eve. Then, as we move into Thursday, of course, this is Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas. And things feel warm and happy and emotional, right? Because now the moon moves into the sign of Pisces, where it's very happy here. It's a fellow water sign. It has energy that is more positive and joyful. And the moon speaks in harmony with the North Node today. So that means there's this need for balancing our emotional self with our need for controlling situations and outcomes. But you're being intuitively guided towards whatever this work is that you need to do today. So just listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Like I said, don't get sucked into family drama. Know when to just close your mouth and move on, and don't add to the conflicts, because you'll be feeling very emotional, but hopefully it's happy emotions that are coming through today. It is not a lot of trauma and drama that is being brought up. Now, if your family makes you feel anxious or sad or depressed, then give yourself permission to not go. It doesn't mean or have to be hurtful, but you have to take care of yourself. So just consider listening to your intuition. And if it feels too much, if it feels too overwhelming, then it's okay to say no, or it's okay to say, I'm only going to be here for this small window of time. This is about you setting healthy boundaries. So whoever it is that you're spending time with during these holidays, don't forget your mental health, your emotional well-being matters just as much as everybody else's. This isn't the time for making big sacrifices. It's time for proving you've been doing the work that Saturn and Neptune have been showing you, how to be healthy, how to have good, healthy boundaries, and those include our family. So just give yourself grace. If you're struggling in that area, it's okay to just take care of yourself, and that might be the greatest gift you have to give this season. All right, as we move ahead to the 26th, Friday, yay, we made it through. We did it all. We got all the things. We were cleaning up the house, and that's Boxing Day right here, or there, I should say, in Europe. This is all the boxes that we need to clean up today here in the U.S. Clean, clean, clean. It's a great way to spend the day today. Other than that, it's Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you celebrate, I'm here for you and celebrating with you, and hoping and wishing you have an amazing day ahead. Now, it can still be more emotional again today, because as that moon moves forward, it is speaking in harmony with, of course, Saturn and Neptune. So again, still having intuitive downloads about getting healthy. And even Jupiter speaking in harmony with all of those planets from the sign of Cancer makes this a very emotional day. It also can be about reconnecting with people from your past because of the fact that Jupiter is retrograde, reconnecting with family, Jupiter in retrograde, and heartfelt conversations. So be open to them on Friday. And if you have somebody that you need to reach out to and have a heartfelt conversation, it's probably going to be well received today because of all of the supporting energy that is showing up to help and guide you. And then quickly, we are moving ahead to Saturday. And here, remember how I said yesterday you were being divinely guided about what to say? Well, now Mercury in Sagittarius is speaking in harmony with that Chiron energy, as they both make that weird, odd connection to Jupiter. So there is something you're learning about, maybe a painful family situation from the past that, I don't know, somehow the information you're learning will give you peace, or it will clear the air. It may be somebody strange or unexpected that you hear from that brings clarity to whatever this conflicting situation is. And that's because of this connection to Mercury and Jupiter, which is quincunx or in conjunct. So this could be an older person, right? Jupiter energy, older and wiser, that you hear from unexpectedly, and as a result of what you hear from them, it helps you heal an old wound. just one of the many scenarios. Of course, this depends on where all of these planets are sitting in your own chart. But look for Saturday to be somewhat interesting day as we navigate through the last of the holidays. And probably a lot of you may be traveling back on this day too. So again, just be a little cautious because of the fact that Mercury's under a little bit of strange pressure from Jupiter. Now, Jupiter's gentle and benefic energy. So if you happen to get detoured somewhere, just go with the flow. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. There's a reason you're being redirected at this time. And then we're going to wrap up the week very quickly. As I said at the beginning, we're going to move fast this week. And as we wrap up this Chiron story, which has been active every single day this week, now the moon comes and sits next to Chiron and has this, again, download of information. So Chiron's a teacher, much like Jupiter, but Chiron's message and Jupiter's message, they're at odds with one another. That's the problem. Chiron is trying to train people to be at war, and Jupiter is teaching people to take care of one another, which is pretty much not the same as war. So there is this difference of opinion on how we can solve our problems. And emotionally, you might feel a little fired up today because of the fact that the moon in Aries sits here next to Chiron. Chiron's trying to inspire you to take some action. And depending on how your wounds are being triggered, this can be a very triggering event. This could, again, have potential for big blow up at home that you don't necessarily need to do. If this is the last day that you've been with family and now you're getting ready to travel, just let it go. It's not worth your peace of mind. And instead, just travel in peace. And when you get home and finish processing, then decide, do I need to do something with this information that I've been learning, with these downloads that I've been getting? Am I really triggered? Is this old triggers? Just give yourself time with whatever's coming through today, but you're going to feel a little feisty. So just be prepared on how best to manage with that energy. All right. And that's the week, right? Pretty quick, somewhat simple, but things need to change, which makes sense, right? These are the last couple of days of this year, this 9 year, where we have to finish the storylines, where we have to wrap up the work. And so this continual square between Chiron and Jupiter, these two teachers, even though they're at war with one another, they still are teaching you something important that you need to learn, something important that you need to change about yourself, Aries, about expressing your feelings, Cancer, and how you can do that differently as we transition into that 1 year, which is just a couple of days away. And so when we come back together next week, we, of course, will be straddling the 2 years because we have just a couple of days here. On Monday, we'll see Mars being activated by the North and the South Node. So there is action that we need to take. There may be military action being taken because, of course, that's Mars. Capricorn's the government. And this is fate that is leading whatever this event is. It is fated. And in your own life, if you have planets sitting here at 11 degrees, the 1111 portal, right, is being opened. So this is a very important energy today that you could start manifesting with. So just know that Monday kicks off with some pretty important energy. And then we will, of course, break it all down for the rest of the week. And then as we kick off the new year, we are going to have our first full moon in the sign of Cancer. And so we'll be back to talk about that next week with the breakdown for everybody. And so I like to think about the first lunar event of the year, showcasing what the year ahead will bring us. So it either starts with a new moon or it starts with a full moon. And so this year it starts with a full moon. This 1 year, in order to have these new beginnings, there are things that we have to conclude. We've been shown all of it here in the 9-year, and right here in January, we get to put a little bow on it. We get to close up shop on whatever we don't want to carry into the new year. You're going to feel it at the time of this full moon. So we'll talk about that next week. All right, guys. It'll be a happy new year. It's going to be a great and Merry Christmas. And you're just going to be open to change and being in the flow and paying attention to your triggers, but not feeding them, right? I always tell people when I'm coaching them that your triggers are like little people on your shoulders and they're talking at you. And if you don't want them to keep triggering you, kick them out, throw them out, punch them, whatever you have to do, but get them off your shoulder and have them stop talking in your ear. They're not helping you. So I hope that helps you as you start navigating next year. And of course, we'll talk about it. Go out there and start looking at January's events and the whole 2026, because I have quite a bit of information that you'll want to look at, because the big shifts are coming in the summer as the nodes change signs, as Jupiter changes signs, as Chiron changes signs, as we've been seeing this year, we had a lot of back and forth. But next year, things really start moving ahead. And you'll want to be prepared to move ahead with the energy as well. So I hope to see some of you book some sessions if I can help you navigate that process. I hope you had, again, an amazing holiday, and I will be back to talk with you after Christmas. Take care, everybody, and Merry Christmas again.